Good day. In 2018, an Australian was sentenced to life imprisonment after he was found guilty of human trafficking and abusing children in Mindanao. In addition, the man also received a maximum of 45 years of jail sentence for 5 counts of rape that same year. Now, early this month, the same pedophile, Peter Gerard Scully, was slapped with a prison sentence of 129 years more. His Filipina girlfriend got 126 years, and two of his Filipino accomplices received a prison sentence of 9 years each. Now, to tell us about the details and to give us a clear picture of the story, we are joined today by Regional Prosecutor for Northern Mindanao, Merling Uy. We are also joined by Inday Barona, the head of regions of Rappler. Good day to both of you.
May nga Chief Prosecutor.
Yes, good
Kirby.
afternoon. Good afternoon.
Hapon na
Adlaw.
gali.
Oo. Now, RSP, can you tell us about this new development Scully case?
Okay, just to give you a short background, Peter Gerard Scully is an Australian national who was who faced several cases of human trafficking and other crimes here in the Philippines. Now he has two batches of criminal cases. The first batch was terminated way back 2018, and we got a conviction for that after trial. One for qualified human trafficking and 5 counts of rape by sexual assault. So that particular first batch of cases involved two minor victims. So after the 2018 judgment, Mr. Scully, together with his girlfriend, no, Carmi Ann Alvarez, who was also his co-accused in that first batch of cases, he was brought to Davao Penal Colony to start serving his sentence. So now here comes these other cases, 60 criminal cases all in all, which are still pending here in Cagayan de Oro City, one in Surigao City, and the others in Malaybalay City. So what we had to do was we had to file a motion before the Supreme Court to consolidate all his cases, all his remaining cases before the Family Court RTC Branch 37 here in Cagayan de Oro City. So after we got a court order from the Supreme Court itself, all these 60 cases were consolidated and tried before one family court here in Cagayan de Oro City.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Attorney, these 60 cases, how many children are involved here,
Okay.
more or less?
As I said earlier, for the first batch, there were two minor victims. For the second batch of cases, the 60 cases, this involves seven living victim survivors, and the eighth would be Barbie, the one whom we named Barbie, whose remains were found in Surigao City under the kitchen floor. So a
And
total of seven plus one, so eight.
okay, and all these cases were already in the pipeline, so to speak, when he was convicted for the former batch of cases.
Yes,
Sige
that's
pa.
correct. Because we were not able to start the ball rolling, so to speak, in the second batch of cases because we wanted to try them all in one venue. So we had to wait for the Supreme Court to issue an order consolidating all these cases, and this the regional trial court in Surigao as well as in Malaybalay City were then ordered by the Supreme Court to transfer all the case records to the court here in Cagayan de Oro City before we could even start calling the cases.
Okay. Follow up lang ako, Herbie. Ma'am, kasi I'm a woman, I'm a grandmother, I'm a mother, and while I was reading through all the stories about the conviction and the timeline of events that led up to it, ang nasa isip ko is the young children. So I'm sure it's a trial. You need to have witnesses. From kasi kayo yung nandoon, so tatanungin ko lang, paano naalagaan yung mga bata? I mean, how after all these years, how did these children face the court and confront once more the trauma and the horrors that they experienced under this man?
Okay. There's a big difference between the first batch and the second batch. As I told you earlier, the first batch of Peter Scully cases, we had to go to trial. So we were able to, other than the other witnesses, no, aside from the other witnesses that we had, we were able to call to the witness stand the two minor victims who were able to escape, no, because they were being made to perform before the camera for the first batch, no, at least. And then they were made to dig their own grave, supposedly. They were able to escape that harrowing experience, and we were able to present them in court. They were able to testify. Now, on this second batch of Scully cases, no, the 60 criminal cases pending in court, we did not go to trial anymore. But if you ask me, why did it take so long before these cases even moved? As I mentioned, because first, we had to wait for the Supreme Court ruling consolidating the cases. Then another thing happened during the interim. As I said, in 2018, Peter Scully was convicted along with Carmian Alvarez. And along with his conviction, he had to be transported to Davao Penal Colony. For the second batch of cases, Peter Scully is being charged together with three other accused. No, that's his other girlfriend. That's Lizelle Margallo, also known as Love to the Children, and two other accused. No, the taxi driver Alexander Lau, and we have Maria Dorothea Chia, no, the one with the taxi driver. So there are four of them. Now, supposedly, if the cases are still being called in court, they should be here in Lumbia City Jail awaiting trial. But in this case, one of them is already serving sentence in Dapicol. And while the three others are left here in Cagayan de Oro City. So again, we had to file another motion before the Supreme Court to allow Peter Scully to attend his hearings online, because supposedly all these cases will have to be, the records will have to be transported to Davao City for him to face trial for his cases. But considering that all the victim survivors are here with us, and then all the other accused are also here, it was eventually granted by the Supreme Court. Now, if you're asking me, how did we protect them? How did we maintain contact or with the victims? No, we are very happy to inform you that the most crucial thing that happened, no, led to the successful prosecution of all these Peter Scully cases is the fact that we immediately covered all the minor victims, no, all the victim survivors under the witness protection program. Because initially, Peter Scully and his lawyer before, they were really trying their best, no, to contact the families, to hopefully settle, no, to pay them, and then so that they will no longer testify. But when these children were already under our custody, under witness protection program, they could no longer be located, and they could not be reached by any representative coming from the defense. I cannot hear you. I think you're
Okay.
muted. Yeah.
Just for non-lawyers, okay. So, may conviction pero walang actual physical trial. But in that sense, could you explain
Okay.
to layman
Okay.
paano nangyari pumunta sa conviction?
Okay. So for these 60 cases, for the second batch, we had to 5 years had gone, no, before while these cases are pending. Now 2022, no, it began last October 25, and then the second leg, no, of the conviction November 3. So there were 2 days because the court cannot call all these cases in one day because there are 60 of them. Now, what is the difference between the first and the second batch? The first batch, we had trial. The second batch of cases, the defense floated the idea of entering into plea bargaining agreement. That is a privilege granted to the accused who want to plead guilty to lesser offenses and will be given by the government lesser penalties. Okay? Because if you imagine, the 6 counts of qualified trafficking in persons themselves, these 6 counts alone carry a maximum sentence of life imprisonment per count. So there are 6 life imprisonments. So with their proposal to plea bargain, we had to consider the terms of the plea bargaining agreement. Under what provisions of the law will they enter into a plea of guilty, considering that we are looking for lower penalties, no? So it can be under the same law, but punishable under a different section. And the other cases had to be dismissed, no, as part of the plea bargaining agreement. So the plea bargaining agreement between the prosecution and the defense had to be approved by the court. And once it was approved by the courts, by the presiding judge, our cases were scheduled for hearing, and that happened last October 25 and November 3. So in effect, this has saved a lot of government time and resources, not only for the prosecution, but also for the courts. Because imagine how long will it take us to prove all 60 cases before the court. No. Imagine how many times the cases had to be called, and each victim survivor had to testify and recall and narrate the gruesome incidents and the gruesome abuses that were committed on her when she was still of very young age.
Thank
So
you so
that
Uh,
is a
much.
big
That's
difference.
very clear to us now.
Yes.
Prosecutor, pero 129 years, it's
Mhm.
still, I don't think that matters anymore if it was
Yes.
reported, di ba?
Yes.
Who
So that
survived
is why for us,
129 years?
yeah. That is why before we submitted the agreement with the court, we also gathered together all the victim survivors, and for Barbie, her father, because her father represented her. And we explained to them the proposal, and we explained to them what will happen, what will be the consequences, and they really welcomed this development. No, they welcomed this because it would mean that they will no longer be called to court and testify, and it would mean that they can now leave this chapter of their life and move on from now on without thinking about pending cases in court.
Attorney,
What
just one
about,
thing.
sige.
129 years. That means he's never gonna get out, right? Even no matter what
Is
happens.
is in his late 50s
Yeah.
Yeah.
for about six
There's no
years.
parole for this, right?
As
There's
we're
no good time.
as
There's
what
no
we're
nothing.
saying, his one lifetime is not enough for him
Yeah.
to pay
Yeah.
his to pay for his crimes.
Okay.
Prosecutor, just to be ano, no, can you tell, you've been mentioning Barbie. Apparently si Barbie ang worst na victim, no? Uh, what what did Scully do to Barbie?
Well, nobody could testify for Barbie. We just happened to the NBI just happened to trace that there was one victim who was brought all the way to Surigao, and then when they went looking for Barbie, and then I think there was also a tip, no, that she because she never got back home, no, to her parents. And besides,
How old Barbie?
the other victims are also cousins of Barbie. So they know each other actually. No? So after investigation, her remains were found under the kitchen tiles. So she is still considered uh, complainant a victim of qualified human trafficking, and as a result of the trafficking, the acts of trafficking, I'm sorry, she died. Excuse me.
The
Um,
the her cousins were the two minors that escaped, that were the main witnesses in the first
who were
case. Okay.
asked to dig
No,
their
no,
own.
no, no, no. Her cousins are one, two, three. No, two of the victim survivors in the second batch are her cousins.
Okay.
See, Scully, did he make money out of these children?
Yes,
Because
definitely,
he sold
definitely.
the videotape and then posted it
Yes.
online.
Definitely, because all these, they subjected the children. Well, the children were in their custody. Him and his girlfriend, Lizelle Margallo. While these children were in their custody, they subjected them to the worst forms of abuse, no? Sexual, physical, what have you. And then all of these are caught on video. These are intentionally recorded for viewing purposes. And these videos would be sold overseas. He has a group of clients, no, even professionals. There are even doctors, no, among his clients, professionals abroad who really look for these kinds of videos. And some would even demand the younger the victims and the more brutal the crime or the abuse, it would fetch a higher price. No, so it would depend. That is why, if you can remember, there was a time, no, in the past in the internet that the video Daisy's Destruction, that was illegally distributed, no? Although it was sold to his clients, but it came out in the dark web and it was illegally distributed. And we had to file a motion before, no, during the first batch of cases to take down those videos. And the court had to order Facebook because they have an office here in the Philippines to take down those videos. And it was taken down because it was passed from one person to another via messenger and other forms of private messaging apps, and it was taken down. And that baby in that video that was abused was the 18-month-old, the youngest victim in this second batch of cases.
Attorney, well, I'm not too sure if this is a prosecutor's business or law enforcement, but I'm sure you have records of this. I'm curious, as you said, um, this couldn't have happened without the patrons who were willing to pay big money for the abuse of children. Meron bang um, meron bang opportunity, or was there an attempt to go after the the clients who purchased, and if I read some stories right, who not just purchased but actually sort of gave orders about what they wanted him to present to them. um, did anyone else get justice for this?
Okay, with respect to his foreign clients, as far as I know, there was one. There was one who was arrested for possession of child pornography, and then the further investigation led to the discovery that there were also videos in the hard drive of that arrested foreigner, no, in that country. There were videos of Filipino girls, and it led the Interpol to, by coordination with the NBI here in Manila, it led them to Mr. Peter Scully. So there
Um,
were also arrests, but not with respect to the cases here, because there were other cases that they were facing, and in the process of further investigation, these were uncovered also. So we had
uh,
to conduct our own investigation here in the Philippines.
Prosecutor, si Scully ba, did he have a record in Australia of being
I
a
was
pedophile?
informed that he fled Australia because he was wanted for fraud. And then he came here to the Philippines and he chanced upon a more lucrative, no, lucrative business of producing these child abuse materials online, and really got good money for it.
Okay. So there was no record of him being a pedophile when he was
As
in
far as I know, he was wanted for fraud. I don't know if he was even convicted or arrested or wanted for pedophilia or child abuse in other countries.
mm, I was asking kanina, no, yung hindi mo narinig. How are the children coping?
Okay. For these particular victims of Peter Scully, considering that there are a lot of them and they were under the witness protection program, we had a multidisciplinary team, no, that managed the victims, because we do not only look at the cases. More importantly, we have to look at the welfare of these victim survivors, considering the degree of abuse that they underwent. And this multidisciplinary team consisted of the trial prosecutors, okay, and we also have social workers, and we also have the DSWD, no, on board, as well as the Asia Foundation, no, the non-government organization which assisted us by giving us, providing us an art therapist, because some children will not say everything at one time, no, they had to be processed, they had to be they had to undergo counseling, and then art therapy was part of their for healing. So because of this, we were able to successfully manage, no, the welfare of the victim survivors. And also, while they're still in the witness protection program, we're still arranging for their reintegration, no, or relocation if needed. They receive monthly financial assistance from the government. So to take care of their basic needs, because these children were ended up in this situation because they're really children of very impoverished families.
Attorney, kaklaruin ko lang, when we say that the children are in the witness protection program, are they separated from their families or is the entire family placed under
Under the
the
witness
witness
protection
protection?
program, we can house the entire family, the
No, but
children,
what
the
are the
immediate
circumstances?
vicinity. Come
So
again?
kasama sila dito? Kasama talaga ang buong pamilya dito?
Uh, in some of the victims, not everyone would agree kasi. Na kasi parang pag nasa WPP ka, mahirapan ka kasi, you have to stop, no? Yung mga regular na ginagawa mo as an ordinary person. So some parents wouldn't want to enter, no? Wouldn't want to be under the custody. But we had to make sure that the children were all under the custody of the WPP through the DSWD.
Okay.
Uh,
Thank you.
prosecutor, no, na-note ko that the abuses took place from 2011 to 2014. In 2015, he was arrested. And since then, nag-prosecution na 7 years. And it took, my presumption is it took a lot of people to work on this case. The NBI, the prosecution. Uh, Anong mga challenges ninyo? Aside from the time na you invested in building this case. 60 cases, napakarami to.
Yes. You know what is the on the part of the of us handling the victim survivors, you know what's the biggest challenge? Because of the length of time that these cases have been pending in court, the minors, no, who were growing up as they were under us, no, under the custody of the department, they were experiencing court fatigue. That we call it court fatigue. No, the fact that they're waiting and waiting for the day that they will be called and testify, it became such a task for them. It became challenging because they became restless. They want to be with their friends. They want to live normal lives, and there were teenagers already. Just to give you an idea, during the time of these incidents, The youngest was 18 months old. We had a 3-year-old. We had a 5-year-old. We had 7 years old, and we have mga 11 years old. So, tingnan mo ngayon, after 10 years, how old are they? The youngest now is 12 years old, the 18 months old. She's now 12 years old. And the oldest, yung mga oldest na victim survivors, 21 years
Adults.
old. Adults na. So look at the time that they had to spend without any certainty as to when they will be able to testify.
Nag-disrupt yung growing up years nila, no? Because of this case.
Yes,
So,
but I tell you, ang education nila was taken care of. They are now in school. Kung anong grade level dapat sila, they're in school. Okay?
mhm.
Tapos yung may isa nga nakagraduate na, yung mga adults nakagraduate na ng college. Imagine that.
What about sa mga prosecutors? Is studying 60 cases?
Okay.
Then ang ano ko is you may have even watched some of the you were forced to watch some of the films, 'di ba? To study the case siguro, no?
Okay.
So,
So this
did
is
it
a
also
first.
take a toll on you?
Yes, definitely. Um, for us prosecutors, no, the second batch, not all prosecutors were able to view the videos. No, I was part of the first batch of trial prosecutors. I was not yet the regional prosecutor at the time, so it was during our time that we had to watch. No, we had to watch. No, because the defense at the time filed a motion to view the videos because they wanted to know if their client really committed such crimes and what was the extent of the abuse because they wouldn't know no because the videos were in our possession. And of course Peter Scally could not give it to his lawyer because he was already in jail at the time if he ever had a copy in his possession. So ang nangyari, we had to view the videos no online in the presence of then RTC Judge Escobedo. He is now deceased, no? So, ang nangyari, we had to watch that and we were also subjected to trauma, no? Ang tawag doon sa amin daw vicarious trauma. So, we even had a session with a psychologist because you really cannot imagine
It affected you.
the manner of abuse, no? The extent of the abuse that was being captured on camera. As a mother myself, I could not bear watching it, but we had to because that's part of our job, because that is our evidence.
Ikaw, Fiscal, have you seen anything like this in your years as a lawyer, as a prosecutor?
I don't think I'll ever see another thing like this in my lifetime as a lawyer. This was the worst thing ever that I saw. And it's even made worse because of the fact that I have seen these victim survivors grow, no? When we first took custody of them until such time that all this ended last November 3. So and then you also get to imagine what if your own child will be subjected to this kind of abuse, no? So or children that or even any child for that matter. It's really unimaginable.
Sino ho
I'm
yung mga sino ho yung before I forget no, sino ho yung mga prosecutors na nagtrabaho on this para
Okay.
mabigyan naman sila ng
Sa
credit?
first batch, iba yon, ibang group yon, no? Kami yon. Sa second batch, eto ngayon, the prosecution team is composed of, I created a team of trial prosecutors kasi hindi kaya ng isang tao lang ang 60 cases tatawagin in one day. All of these 60 cases are jointly tried. So, every time tatawagin yung kaso, 60 ang tinatawag. So, ang ginawa ko, I created a team of prosecutors and that is composed of our Deputy City Prosecutor Ruby Malanog from the Office of the City Prosecutor of Cagayan de Oro City and four other, uh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, there are six of them, no? And then another prosecutor would be Prosecutor Louis Borja, Prosecutor Julieta Buhat Piloton, Prosecutor Randy Ilisan, Prosecutor Venice Seriales. So all of them came from Cagayan de Oro City because majority of the cases also originated here in CDO. And one prosecutor from Office of the Provincial Prosecutor of Misamis Oriental, Prosecutor Ulda Bunuan. So these were the team. This was the team of trial prosecutors that was designated to handle all the 60 cases.
Yes, Miss Inday, you were saying something.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking, tapos na yung kaso, um, I'm not going to say it's time to move on, but at least there is an opportunity for young abused people to rebuild their lives again, or whatever rebuilding has been happening to extend that. Um, are they going to continue, even with the cases done and completed? Are they still going to continue receiving um, support from the state? Because obviously, I don't think the lives of their families have improved all that much. As you say, they all started as very poor individuals.
Yes, yes. Unfortunately, the witness protection program would cease, no, once they will be processed for termination because there's no longer any case that they're a witness for the government. So, but with respect to other services from the government that can be provided by the DSWD, especially when they go back to their respective communities, they will be monitored by the local social workers. And also, we also got for now, no, I think they will be given scholarships by non-government organizations, no, who would really want to support, no, these victim survivors, so that they would be able to um, finish their education. Although one has already graduated from college.
Ang follow-up ko lang, prosecutor, Um, right now, it's good, of course, that they're going to be getting additional help. But this is from the goodness of other people's hearts, no? And the DSWD, for example. Do you think, as a prosecutor, as somebody who has worked this kind of cases and other cases that need witness people in the witness protection program, kailangan bang madagdagan ng batas na parang na hindi matatapos yung benepisyo na nakukuha sa WPP dun lang sa pagtapos ng isang kaso. Kasi as you say, no, as you very graphically told us, dun lang sa kahabaan ng kaso, lives interrupted to lives, that they need to rebuild again and stitch back together again. So as a lawyer, as a prosecutor, do you think na mag may lugar ang WPP law na magbago para madagdagan at maging mas mahaba at institutional ang tulong para sa mga tumutulong rin sa Estado na masiguradong may hustisya laban sa mga kriminal?
Okay. Well, I forgot to mention that aside from the monthly financial assistance that is being given to the victim survivors, no, they are also given upon exit from the program. They're also given relocation assistance, no, a considerable amount for them to start a business, no, a small business, so that that will ensure that they will have a viable means of livelihood, especially their families, no, when they get out of the program. And then educational assistance, wala na yan sa WPP after the program. While they're here, then we send them to school, we arrange for their education, but as sinasabi ko na nga, in coordination with non-government form of educational scholarship, no, for them to complete their education.
Thank you.
And for your question, kailangan bang i-amend ang WPP? I think it's beyond the mandate, no, of the, because the law really is to protect the witnesses so that they can testify, they can be provided for while they're in the program. But after that, they can be managed by other agencies of the government, such as in this case, the DSWD.
Uh, Lastly, prosecutor, ay, ang laws ba natin on human trafficking, on cases such as this, you find it enough? Or parang you think Congress can do better? Can arm you with
Yes,
more law?
our laws are not. our laws are more than enough, no, to it even punishes, no, attempted trafficking in persons, no, just the mere attempt to traffic, and that is the section wherein Peter Scally and the other accused pleaded guilty, no, si Lovely, silang dalawa. Kaya 15 years yan, attempted lang, 15 years, hindi life. 15 years per count. Kaya dyan pa lang sa 6 counts na yan, 90 years na. So all the others, mga konting ilang years na lang, so it added to the maximum 129 for Peter Scally. Now, we're hoping, kasi 'di ba, in every judgment, 'di ba, they were given prison terms. They were also meted the penalty of fines, no? Bawat case may 500,000 fine. But fine is still a form of penalty. Now, how about the victim compensation? So, it came in the form of damages, no? And civil indemnity for the victims. Meron yan kasama sa judgment bawat kaso for these cases, for this second batch. So we're hoping that we can sana ma-execute, no, this part of victim compensation. And that can be answered for by if there is remaining mga properties pa ni Peter Scally and the other accused. But if not, it will just be on paper only. So if and when that will be enforced, no, that would be in a form of a government to government thing, no, it's a government to government thing, because if there are properties of Peter Scally, I would presume that these are located in Australia.
And kaklaruhin lang natin, walang dagdag na parusa kapag hindi nila mabayaran ang civil indemnity na to, right?
Ang civil indemnity, that is really for the victims.
Oo
Ano
nga.
yun? Monetary. Yung
Oo.
dagdag lang would be in the form of yung sa fines. If these are unpaid, it can be converted to subsidiary
Oh,
then I think 1 year or 2 years lang for subsidiary imprisonment. But that does not count na dito kasi tingnan mo naman, 129 na yung pinaka-penalty niya na total, di ba?
State Prosecutor Merlin Uy, we'd like to thank you for granting us this interview and for giving us details about the Scally's case. No man should be allowed again to abuse children the way he did, and we congratulate you for. Well, we cannot bring back their childhood, but at least you were instrumental. Your office and prosecutors under you were instrumental in giving them justice. We would like to thank you and the judge for doing that. Miss Inday, thank you very much, and more power to all. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.